Intelligence, in many ways, is celebrated as the ultimate tool for success. It's a trait admired in leaders, innovators, and visionaries. Yet, in a surprising twist, the German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer offers a counterintuitive approach, the art of playing dumb. This method, far from being a sign of ignorance, is a calculated strategy to navigate the complexities of human interactions and achieve success without drawing undue envy or resentment. Schopenhauer's philosophy isn't merely about deceit or manipulation, it's a profound commentary on human behavior and social dynamics. By understanding when to downplay our strengths and when to reveal them, we can gain respect, foster trust, and ultimately achieve our goals. In this video, we'll explore how Schopenhauer's teachings can be applied to our lives, supported by historical context, real-life examples, and deeper insights into human nature. Humility, often mistaken for weakness, is a powerful tool for navigating complex social landscapes. Arthur Schopenhauer's reflections on humility were shaped by deeply personal experiences, beginning with his tumultuous relationship with his mother. At the tender age of 19, Schopenhauer received a poignant letter from his mother that served as both a critique and a life lesson. She admonished him for his relentless need to assert his intellectual superiority, pointing out that his brilliance, though exceptional, often alienated others. She argued that his constant urge to correct and improve matters beyond his control overshadowed his positive qualities. This letter, though critical, was a turning point for Schopenhauer. It forced him to confront an uncomfortable truth. His intelligence, when wielded without restraint, became a barrier to meaningful connections. The lesson embedded in his mother's words, acknowledging the limits of intellect and embracing humility, became a cornerstone of his philosophy. Let's delve deeper into how this idea evolved and resonated across his life and work. Schopenhauer's early life highlights a universal struggle, the tension between personal pride and the desire for connection. Pride in one's intellect, achievements, or abilities is natural, yet it often creates barriers. His mother's critique was not unique to their relationship. It mirrors a recurring theme in human interactions. People tend to withdraw from those who seem overly eager to assert superiority. The very traits that make someone exceptional can also isolate them. Schopenhauer realized that humility was not just a virtue, but a practical strategy for fostering respect and cooperation. By softening his intellectual edge, he could engage with others more effectively, creating opportunities for deeper understanding and collaboration. This insight became a guiding principle in his life and work, influencing not only his personal interactions, but also his philosophical writings. Schopenhauer's reflections on humility were shaped by the broader cultural and historical context of his time. In the early 19th century, Europe was undergoing significant social and intellectual transformations. The Enlightenment had emphasized reason and intellect as pathways to progress, yet the Romantic movement, which was emerging during Schopenhauer's youth, celebrated emotion, intuition, and the value of human connection. This cultural backdrop amplified the importance of humility as a counterbalance to the excesses of intellectual pride. Schopenhauer's insights were not isolated musings, but part of a broader philosophical dialogue. He drew inspiration from both Western and Eastern traditions, integrating ideas from ancient Greek philosophy and Indian teachings into his reflections on humility. Schopenhauer's personal struggles with pride and isolation were not merely theoretical concerns. They were deeply ingrained in his life. His relationships, particularly with his family, were marked by conflict and misunderstanding. His mother, Johanna Schopenhauer, was a successful writer and socialite, and their contrasting personalities often clashed. While she valued wit and charm, Schopenhauer's intensity and intellectual rigor made him less suited to her social circles. This tension extended beyond his family. Schopenhauer's peers and colleagues often found him difficult to relate to, a consequence of his uncompromising intellect and blunt demeanor. These experiences reinforced the lesson that brilliance alone was insufficient for a fulfilling life. He needed to temper his intellectual pride with humility to navigate the social and professional challenges he faced. One of the most profound lessons Schopenhauer learned was that humility does not diminish one's intellect but enhances it. By stepping back and allowing others to express themselves, he discovered that he could learn more and build stronger connections. This approach also disarmed those who might otherwise have felt threatened by his intelligence. Schopenhauer came to see humility as a form of strength. It allowed him to listen, observe, and understand the perspectives of others without the need to dominate or control the conversation. This shift in mindset not only improved his relationships, but also enriched his philosophical insights, enabling him to explore the complexities of human nature with greater empathy and depth. Schopenhauer's reflections on humility resonate with teachings from various cultures and traditions. In Buddhism, humility is a core virtue, emphasizing the importance of letting go of ego and embracing compassion. Similarly, ancient Greek philosophers like Socrates and Plato extolled the value of recognizing one's limitations as a pathway to wisdom. For example, Socrates famously declared, "I know that I know nothing," a statement that reflects both humility and intellectual curiosity. By acknowledging his ignorance, Socrates opened the door to deeper exploration and dialogue. Taoist philosophy, as expressed in the Tao Te Ching, emphasizes the power of appearing weak or unassuming as a way to navigate life's challenges. The sage, according to Laozi, wears rough clothing and holds the jewel in his heart, a metaphor for humility and inner strength. These parallels highlight the universality of Schopenhauer's insights, showing how humility transcends cultural and historical boundaries. Schopenhauer's lessons on humility remain relevant today, offering practical guidance for navigating the complexities of modern life. Whether in professional settings, personal relationships, or social interactions, humility serves as a powerful tool for fostering respect and cooperation. In leadership, effective leaders often exhibit humility, recognizing the contributions of their team and being open to feedback. This approach not only builds trust, but also inspires loyalty and collaboration. In personal growth, humility encourages self-reflection, helping individuals acknowledge their limitations and seek opportunities for learning and improvement. In social interactions, by prioritizing listening over speaking, individuals can build deeper connections and create an environment of mutual respect. The early lessons of humility that shaped Schopenhauer's philosophy are not just historical anecdotes, but enduring truths. They remind us that true strength lies not in asserting our superiority, but in embracing our humanity. By cultivating humility, we can navigate life's challenges with grace, build meaningful connections, and achieve success without alienating others. Schopenhauer's journey from intellectual pride to philosophical wisdom offers a roadmap for anyone seeking to balance brilliance with compassion. It's a lesson as relevant today as it was in his time, a testament to the transformative power of humility. In a world saturated with noise, the ability to remain silent is an art often underestimated. Silence, far from being a sign of ignorance or passivity, is a powerful tool that demonstrates wisdom, control, and understanding. Arthur Schopenhauer, a philosopher known for his deep reflections on human nature, believed that knowing when to speak and when to listen is a cornerstone of wisdom. His insights on silence offer valuable lessons for navigating social, professional, and personal interactions, showing us that restraint is often the path to respect and influence. In today's world, where constant communication is celebrated, silence has become a rare commodity. People often equate silence with weakness or a lack of knowledge. Yet Schopenhauer argued that it is the wise who understand the true value of quiet restraint. By choosing silence, we avoid unnecessary conflict, give ourselves time to think, and allow others to express themselves fully. Mahatma Gandhi echoed this sentiment, saying, "Speak only if it improves upon the silence." This wisdom underscores the importance of intentionality in speech. Speaking without purpose not only dilutes the value of our words, but can also diminish the respect others have for us. Silence, on the other hand, invites a curiosity and commands attention when we finally choose to speak. Schopenhauer believed that the act of listening, truly listening, requires discipline and humility. In social settings, those who dominate conversations often gain little respect. Their words may be numerous, but their impact is minimal. In contrast, those who listen attentively and speak sparingly often leave a stronger impression. Abraham Lincoln, one of the most admired leaders in history, was known for his ability to listen. He often allowed others to voice their opinions fully before offering his own perspective, which made his words carry more weight. Steve Jobs, the visionary behind Apple, practiced what has been called active silence in meetings. By allowing others to share ideas and waiting until the right moment to speak, he cultivated an air of authority and insight. Listening is not just about hearing words. It's about understanding the emotions, motivations, and intentions behind them. This deep level of engagement allows us to respond thoughtfully, making our words more impactful. Silence has a profound psychological effect on others. It creates a space for reflection, often making people feel heard and respected. This can be particularly useful in negotiations, conflicts, or high-stakes discussions. Psychologists have noted that silence can make others uncomfortable, prompting them to reveal more than they intended or reconsider their stance. In high-stakes business deals, seasoned negotiators often use silence as a strategy. After making a point, they remain quiet, forcing the other party to fill the void. This tactic not only demonstrates confidence, but often results in the other side making concessions. The value of silence is not unique to Schopenhauer's philosophy. It is a universal principle celebrated across cultures and traditions. Buddhism teaches the importance of noble silence, a practice that cultivates mindfulness and introspection. By refraining from unnecessary speech, practitioners focus on self-awareness and compassion. Japanese culture emphasizes the concept of ma, which refers to the space or pause between actions. This idea applies to conversation as well, where silence is seen as an opportunity for thought rather than an awkward gap. Indigenous wisdom. Many Native American traditions value silence as a way of showing respect. Speaking less and listening more is considered a sign of wisdom and maturity. These cultural insights reinforce the idea that silence is not a void, but a space rich with potential. Schopenhauer's philosophy on silence can be applied to various aspects of modern life. In professional settings, during meetings, those who speak only when necessary often command more respect. Their words are seen as thoughtful and deliberate, rather than impulsive or self-serving. Leaders who practice restraint create an environment where others feel valued, fostering collaboration and trust. In personal relationships, silence can be a powerful tool for resolving conflicts. Instead of reacting impulsively, taking a moment of silence allows emotions to settle, paving the way for a more constructive conversation. Active listening strengthens bonds by showing genuine interest in the other person's thoughts and feelings. In self-reflection, silence provides the space needed for introspection. In moments of quiet, we can process our thoughts, understand our emotions, and gain clarity about our goals. The art of choosing words. Wisely, Schopenhauer argued that speech should be purposeful and impactful. To achieve this, one must consider the following. Timing. The right words at the wrong time can lose their impact. Knowing when to speak is as important as knowing what to say. Brevity. Less is often more. Concise speech is easier to remember and carries greater authority. Authenticity. Words spoken with sincerity resonate deeply. People are drawn to authenticity, which silence can help us cultivate by allowing us to think before we speak. The spiritual dimension of silence. Silence is not just a social or professional tool, it is also a pathway to spiritual growth. In Buddhist teachings, silence is a way to transcend the ego. By observing silence, we detach from the need to assert ourselves, and instead focus on the interconnectedness of all beings. Meditative practices, such as vipassana, emphasize the role of silence in achieving mindfulness. In these practices, silence is not an absence, but a presence, an opportunity to connect with the self and the universe. Schopenhauer, deeply influenced by Eastern philosophies, saw silence as a way to access a higher state of being, free from the distractions of the mundane world. A CEO once attended a critical board meeting where tensions ran high. Instead of contributing to the heated debate, the CEO remained silent, observing the dynamics and taking detailed notes. When the time came to make a decision, the CEO's carefully chosen words resolved the conflict and earned the respect of the entire board. A father struggling to connect with his teenage daughter decided to practice silence during their conversations. By simply listening without judgment, he created a safe space for her to share her thoughts, transforming their relationship. A real estate agent once used silence to secure a better deal for a client. After presenting the offer, the agent waited in silence, allowing the seller to speak. The seller, uncomfortable with the pause, ended up lowering the price to close the deal. The art of silence, as advocated by Schopenhauer, is a timeless lesson in wisdom and restraint. It teaches us to listen deeply, speak thoughtfully, and understand the power of pauses. In a noisy world, silence stands out, drawing attention and fostering respect. Whether in professional settings, personal relationships, or moments of self-reflection, silence is a tool that enhances our lives. By practicing the art of silence, we not only enrich our interactions, but also cultivate inner peace and clarity. As Schopenhauer reminds us, wisdom is not always in the words we speak, but in the silence we keep. The philosophical teachings of Arthur Schopenhauer hold profound insights into human nature, offering timeless strategies for navigating the complexities of life. His reflections on humility, intellectual pride, and the power of playing dumb resonate across various domains, from personal relationships to professional success. By delving deeper into his core ideas, we can uncover layers of wisdom that not only enrich our understanding of his philosophy, but also provide actionable lessons for our daily lives. Schopenhauer warned that intellectual pride, while seemingly a strength, often becomes a double-edged sword. Those who constantly flaunt their intelligence risk alienating others, fostering envy and resentment instead of admiration. This observation is as relevant today as it was in Schopenhauer's time, particularly in a world where social media amplifies the urge to display one's achievements and knowledge. Why intellectual pride is alienating. Perceived superiority. People naturally recoil from those who make them feel inferior. Intellectual pride can unintentionally create a barrier, making others feel undervalued or judged. When someone is perceived as overly intelligent or self-assured, it can trigger insecurities in those around them. This often leads to passive resistance or even active attempts to undermine the individual. Pride in one's intellect can cloud empathy. A person focused on proving their superiority may miss opportunities to connect with others on a deeper, more meaningful level. Isaac Newton, despite his genius, struggled with personal relationships due to his abrasive personality and intellectual arrogance. His inability to relate to peers on an emotional level often left him isolated. In contrast, Albert Einstein was admired not just for his intellect, but for his humility. His willingness to admit mistakes and engage with others on their level made him universally respected. One of Schopenhauer's most compelling ideas is the strategic value of being underestimated. Playing dumb, or appearing less capable than one truly is, can be a powerful way to disarm opponents and win allies. This underdog advantage works because it subverts expectations, creating opportunities for surprise victories and lasting impressions. How being underestimated creates opportunities. Element of surprise. When people underestimate your abilities, they lower their defenses. This creates a perfect opportunity to exceed expectations and achieve remarkable outcomes. Reduced pressure. Those perceived as less capable often face fewer expectations, allowing them to operate with greater freedom and creativity. Building genuine connections. By downplaying strengths, individuals can foster authentic relationships based on trust rather than competition. David versus Goliath. This classic biblical story exemplifies the power of being underestimated. David's victory over the seemingly invincible Goliath became a metaphor for overcoming adversity through strategy and courage. J.K. Rowling. Before her rise to fame, Rowling faced numerous rejections for her Harry Potter manuscripts. By persisting quietly, she eventually achieved unprecedented success, surprising the publishing world. Cultural perspectives on humility. Schopenhauer's emphasis on humility aligns with philosophies and traditions from around the world. Humility is celebrated not as a weakness, but as a strength that fosters wisdom, empathy, and resilience. In Buddhist teachings, humility is essential for letting go of ego and achieving enlightenment. The practice of bowing, a common ritual in Buddhism, symbolizes respect and the recognition of one's interconnectedness with all beings. The Tao Te Ching emphasizes the power of being unassuming. Laozi writes, "The sage wears rough clothing and holds the jewel in his heart," illustrating that true wisdom lies in modesty. Socratic irony, the practice of feigned ignorance, highlights the value of humility in uncovering deeper truths. Socrates' statement, "I know that I know nothing," underscores the importance of approaching life with curiosity rather than arrogance. In Christian teachings, humility is a virtue exemplified by Jesus Christ, who emphasized serving others and valuing compassion over power. Playing dumb, as advocated by Schopenhauer, is not about feigning ignorance for manipulation. Instead, it is a strategic approach to navigating social dynamics by prioritizing humility and observation over assertion. How playing dumb enhances social interactions, disarming conflict. By appearing less confrontational or assertive, individuals can diffuse tension and foster a more collaborative atmosphere. Allowing others to take the lead or feel they've solved a problem on their own boosts their confidence and strengthens relationships. Remaining quiet and observant provides an opportunity to learn about others' perspectives, motivations, and strategies, which can be invaluable in decision-making. Professional environments. Employees who let their superiors take credit for ideas or solutions often gain their trust and support, creating long-term career opportunities. Personal relationships. In conflicts, listening and withholding immediate reactions often lead to more constructive resolutions. Schopenhauer's ideas are not relics of the past. They offer practical guidance for modern challenges. In a hyper-connected, competitive world, his emphasis on humility, restraint, and observation is more relevant than ever. In leadership. Leaders who practice humility and strategic silence often inspire greater loyalty and respect. By allowing team members to shine and refraining from micromanagement, they create an empowering environment. In social media. In an era of oversharing, choosing to remain silent or modest about achievements can set individuals apart. This approach fosters intrigue and admiration while avoiding the pitfalls of envy. In personal growth, practicing humility encourages introspection and a focus on continuous improvement. By acknowledging limitations, individuals open themselves to learning and growth. Arthur Schopenhauer's core ideas, humility, the underdog advantage, and the art of playing dumb, are timeless principles that transcend cultural and historical boundaries. They remind us that true strength lies not in asserting dominance but in fostering connection, understanding, and respect. By integrating these lessons into our lives, we can navigate challenges with grace, build meaningful relationships, and achieve success on our own terms. Whether in personal interactions, professional pursuits, or moments of self-reflection, Schopenhauer's philosophy offers a roadmap to a more fulfilling and harmonious life. Stories have the power to illuminate profound ideas, transforming abstract concepts into tangible lessons. Arthur Schopenhauer's philosophy is deeply rooted in human nature, and its relevance becomes even clearer when illustrated through real-life anecdotes, historical accounts, and modern parallels. Here, we expand on rich stories that exemplify Schopenhauer's core ideas, demonstrating the transformative power of humility, silence, and the art of playing dumb. Abraham Lincoln, one of the most revered figures in American history, was a master of silence and humility. During a particularly contentious cabinet meeting, Lincoln's advisors were embroiled in heated debate over the strategy for the Civil War. Lincoln listened quietly, absorbing every argument and counter-argument. Instead of immediately asserting his position, he waited until the discussion had exhausted itself. Only then did he offer a measured and thoughtful response, which reconciled the differing viewpoints and set a clear direction. Lincoln's ability to remain silent and observe allowed him to grasp the nuances of the situation, earning the respect of his advisors. His words, carefully chosen and timed, carried immense weight. This story illustrates the power of restraint and listening, principles that echo Schopenhauer's philosophy. In the 2015 to 2016 English Premier League season, Leicester City Football Club achieved one of the most extraordinary underdog victories in sports history. The team, considered a low-tier contender, was underestimated by competitors and bookmakers alike. Instead of trying to compete on equal footing with wealthier and more skilled teams, Leicester City embraced their status as underdogs. They played strategically, using their opponent's overconfidence to their advantage. By the season's end, Leicester City defied the odds to win the championship. Their story resonates with Schopenhauer's concept of the underdog advantage, how being underestimated can lead to astonishing success when one plays strategically and reveals strengths at the right moment. Warren Buffett, often called the Oracle of Omaha, is known for his modest demeanor and calculated strategies in the world of investing. Unlike many high-profile business magnates who flaunt their wealth and successes, Buffett lives a simple life and often downplays his intelligence. Buffett's approach to business mirrors Schopenhauer's philosophy. By staying low-key and focusing on long-term value rather than short-term gains, he has consistently outperformed his more boastful competitors. His humility and ability to stay under the radar have allowed him to make strategic decisions without attracting unnecessary scrutiny or envy. Socrates, one of the greatest philosophers of ancient Greece, famously employed a technique known as Socratic irony. He would pretend to be ignorant, asking seemingly naive questions to provoke deeper thought and reveal inconsistencies in others' arguments. This method allowed him to engage his peers in meaningful discussions without appearing confrontational or arrogant. One famous account involves Socrates questioning a self-proclaimed expert on justice. By feigning ignorance, Socrates gently exposed the flaws in the expert's reasoning, leading to a richer understanding of the topic. This story exemplifies the power of humility and the art of playing dumb to uncover deeper truths, a core tenet of Schopenhauer's philosophy. In Eastern cultures, bamboo is often used as a metaphor for resilience and humility. Despite its towering height, bamboo is incredibly flexible, bending with the wind rather than resisting it. Its strength lies not in its rigidity, but in its ability to adapt and appear unassuming. This natural phenomenon aligns with Schopenhauer's teachings. Just as bamboo survives storms by bending, individuals who embrace humility and restraint often weather life's challenges more effectively than those who rigidly assert their strength. In a corporate setting, an employee named Sarah was consistently overlooked for promotions despite her exceptional work ethic and skills. Instead of vying for attention or boasting about her achievements, Sarah chose to play the long game. She focused on supporting her team, quietly solving problems, and letting her results speak for themselves. When a leadership position opened, Sarah's consistent performance and unassuming nature made her the natural choice. Her quiet confidence and humility had not gone unnoticed by upper management, proving Schopenhauer's point that humility and patience often lead to greater success than overt displays of competence. A father named Michael struggled to connect with his teenage son, who often seemed distant and uncommunicative. Taking inspiration from Schopenhauer's philosophy, Michael decided to practice active listening. Instead of offering unsolicited advice or asserting his authority, he simply listened during their conversations, withholding judgment and refraining from interruptions. Over time, his son began to open up, sharing his thoughts and feelings more freely. Michael's restraint and humility created a safe space for his son, strengthening their bond and illustrating the transformative power of silence and patience in relationships. Mahatma Gandhi, a global symbol of nonviolent resistance, exemplified the power of humility and restraint. During India's struggle for independence, Gandhi often appeared unassuming and powerless compared to the British authorities. However, his deliberate humility disarmed his opponents and rallied millions to his cause. Gandhi's approach mirrors Schopenhauer's idea of appearing weaker than one truly is to achieve greater influence. His humility was not a weakness, but a strategic choice that amplified his moral authority and inspired lasting change. In a high-stakes real estate deal, a negotiator named James employed silence as a strategic tool. After presenting an offer, he resisted the urge to fill the awkward pause that followed. The seller, uncomfortable with the silence, began to speak, revealing critical information about their motivations and willingness to compromise. By remaining silent and observant, James gained a significant advantage, ultimately securing a deal far better than he had anticipated. This story highlights the psychological power of silence, a principle deeply rooted in Schopenhauer's teachings. In a Zen monastery, a renowned scholar visited a humble monk to seek enlightenment. The scholar, eager to display his knowledge, dominated the conversation, listing his accomplishments and philosophical insights. The monk, smiling gently, began to pour tea into the scholar's cup. He continued pouring even after the cup overflowed, prompting the scholar to protest. "The cup is full," the scholar exclaimed. "It can't hold any more tea." "Exactly," replied the monk. "You are like this cup, so full of yourself that nothing new can enter. To gain wisdom, you must first empty your cup." This Zen story beautifully encapsulates Schopenhauer's philosophy of humility. True wisdom requires letting go of intellectual pride and remaining open to new perspectives. These rich anecdotes and stories breathe life into Schopenhauer's philosophy, demonstrating how humility, restraint, and strategic silence can transform lives. Whether in historical contexts, modern settings, or timeless parables, these examples reveal the universal truth of Schopenhauer's teachings: that true strength lies not in asserting dominance, but in embracing humility and understanding. By integrating these lessons into our own lives, we can navigate challenges with grace, foster deeper connections, and achieve lasting success. Stories, after all, are not just tales of the past. They are guides for the present and the future. Buddhist teachings provide a rich framework for understanding life's challenges, offering timeless wisdom that aligns closely with many of Arthur Schopenhauer's philosophical ideas. Both Buddhism and Schopenhauer's thought emphasize self-awareness, humility, and the transcendence of ego. By exploring the core principles of Buddhism, we can deepen our understanding of these shared insights and uncover practical ways to integrate them into our lives. Central to Buddhist philosophy is the concept of anatta, or non-self, which teaches that the sense of a permanent, independent self is an illusion. This idea resonates with Schopenhauer's critique of the ego. He argued that clinging to one's intellectual superiority or external achievements is a source of suffering, as it fosters envy, isolation, and dissatisfaction. The ego clings to labels and identities: smart, successful, superior. These attachments create a fragile sense of self-worth, constantly threatened by external circumstances. The ego thrives on comparison, leading to feelings of inadequacy or superiority. Both states are unstable and perpetuate suffering. Ego resists impermanence, fearing loss and change. Buddhism teaches that accepting the transient nature of all things frees us from this struggle. Mindful reflection. Pause and ask, am I acting out of ego or authenticity? This awareness can transform interactions and decisions. Letting go. Practice releasing the need for validation by recognizing that external opinions do not define your true nature. Humility is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, seen as essential for transcending the ego and attaining wisdom. In the Dhammapada, the Buddha teaches, like a beautiful flower, full of color but without scent, are the fine but fruitless words of those who do not act accordingly. This reminds us that humility is not just a passive trait, but an active practice of aligning words, actions, and intentions. After attaining enlightenment, the Buddha sought out his former companions, the 5 ascetics who had abandoned him during his quest for truth. Instead of asserting his newfound wisdom, he approached them with humility and compassion, sharing his insights in a way that invited dialogue rather than imposing authority. This humility won their trust and became the foundation of the Sangha, the Buddhist monastic community. Angulimala, a feared bandit, encountered the Buddha on his path. Instead of confronting him with anger or judgment, the Buddha approached him with calm humility, ultimately guiding him toward redemption and spiritual awakening. Gratitude practice. Reflect on the contributions of others to your success, recognizing that no achievement is entirely self-made. Active listening. Approach conversations with the intention to understand, not to impress. Mindfulness and silence. The noble practice. Buddhist mindfulness practices encourage silence, not merely the absence of speech, but an active state of awareness and presence. This idea parallels Schopenhauer's advocacy for silence as a tool for observation and connection. In Buddhist retreats, noble silence is a practice of refraining from unnecessary speech to cultivate inner stillness and clarity. This silence allows practitioners to deepen their understanding of impermanence and interconnectedness, develop compassion by listening to the world without imposing their own voice. Practical applications in modern life daily. Moments of silence. Dedicate time each day to sit quietly, observing your thoughts and surroundings without reacting. Mindful conversations. Practice pausing before responding, ensuring your words are thoughtful and necessary. The Four Noble Truths and Schopenhauer's philosophy. The Four Noble Truths form the foundation of Buddhist teachings, providing a framework for understanding and overcoming suffering. These truths align closely with Schopenhauer's reflections on the human condition. Both Buddhism and Schopenhauer acknowledge that suffering is an inherent part of existence. Schopenhauer described life as being marked by a constant cycle of desires and disappointments, echoing the Buddhist view of suffering caused by attachment and craving. Buddhism identifies craving, tanha, as the root of suffering. Similarly, Schopenhauer argued that the relentless will to achieve and acquire often leads to dissatisfaction. The cessation of suffering in Buddhism involves letting go of attachment and achieving inner peace. Schopenhauer, influenced by Eastern philosophies, suggested that renouncing desires could lead to a more tranquil existence. The Eightfold Path in Buddhism offers a practical guide to overcoming suffering, emphasizing ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. Schopenhauer's philosophy, while less structured, similarly advocates for self-awareness and restraint as pathways to a meaningful life. Meditation is a cornerstone of Buddhist practice, offering a direct method for cultivating mindfulness, compassion, and insight. Schopenhauer, deeply influenced by Eastern traditions, recognized the transformative power of meditative practices in transcending the ego and accessing deeper truths. Emotional regulation. Meditation helps calm the mind, reducing reactivity and fostering equanimity. Increased awareness. Through meditation, individuals gain clarity about their thoughts, motivations, and actions. Connection to the present. Meditation anchors practitioners in the present moment, freeing them from regrets about the past or anxieties about the future. Mindfulness meditation, vipassana, focuses on observing thoughts and sensations without judgment, cultivating awareness of impermanence. Loving kindness meditation, metta, develops compassion by directing goodwill toward oneself and others. Zen meditation, zazen, emphasizes sitting in stillness and embracing the simplicity of being. A Buddhist monk encountered a starving tiger and her cubs. Moved by compassion, he offered his life to save them, embodying the Buddhist principle of selflessness. This tale illustrates the transformative power of compassion and the ultimate transcendence of ego. Two monks were traveling when they encountered a woman who needed help crossing a river. One monk carried her across and continued the journey in silence. Hours later, the other monk said, "How could you carry that woman? We are not supposed to touch women." The first monk replied, "I set her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" This story highlights the importance of letting go, a key teaching in both Buddhism and Schopenhauer's philosophy. Buddhist teachings, with their emphasis on humility, mindfulness, and compassion, offer profound insights into living a meaningful life. When paired with Schopenhauer's philosophy, they create a holistic framework for understanding and transcending the challenges of human existence. By embracing the principles of non-attachment, practicing silence, and cultivating compassion, we can navigate life's complexities with greater wisdom and grace. These teachings remind us that the path to fulfillment is not found in asserting dominance or clinging to ego, but in fostering connection, understanding, and inner peace.